Hey guys, my name's Ed, and today I'm going to be talking to you about my kit. So getting into it, starting from the top, moving all the way down, what I use for my Peltor down lead to move to my PTT is a Forge Concepts routing tab. What this allows me to do is it allows me to secure my down lead to my PTT in a manner that allows me to don and off my equipment more easily. If I were to route this through a shoulder strap and become a casualty, it'd be a lot harder for me to take this equipment on and off without getting all of my wires crossed over and it just becoming a heartache. Moving down from there and continuing on the line of thought with the plate carrier is you're gonna see a pretty big admin pouch in the middle. So usually that's kind of taboo to do, especially when you're talking about things that get in the way of your magazines. But the thing about this concave pouch is it actually still allows you to access your magazines that you have on your plate carrier. So what I have inside of it, for starters, is my EUD or end user device. All I did was put a little bit of Velcro on the back of this phone and it still allows me to use my ATAK just like any other high-end tablet holding device out there. And beyond that are a few admin items. So one of the first things I always make sure I have on me is a notepad. So whether I'm passing notes to adjacent units or writing down grids over the radio, I find that this is something I never want to leave home without. Along with that, something that a lot of military people are going to recognize is a kill or casualty card. All this is a card that has a lot of sensitive information on it and a CASEVAC 9-line sheet. It's laminated so that way you can hand this off to your leadership or platoon sergeant and he can write down any notes or anything he has to annotate about the level of injury that you have sustained and then pass it off to higher. Other things that you might want to carry with you or consider having is going to be a GRG, so you can quickly reference where you happen to be during your operation, an execution checklist, and also a PCC and PCI checklist. Now, no matter what unit you're in, whether you're a SWAT guy, some high-speed dude in SOCOM, or just a regular infantryman, this allows you to make sure you're bringing all the mission essential items with you and to ensure that everybody's on the same page with the amount of equipment that you bring with them. This list starts from the top down, starting with your helmet and night vision, and it goes all the way down to what the TL and ATL need to be checking before you step out on mission, and what you need to be spot checking your teammates and making sure they understand. There's this misunderstanding out there with a lot of cool units that big boy rules allow you to not have to worry about doing PCCs and PCIs. In my opinion, there's no such thing as big boy rules. There's just acceptable levels of risk that you're willing to take. And to me, I don't think you should ever be willing to accept human beings forgetting stuff and refusing to do your pre-mission checks that you should as a small unit leader. Lastly, one of the things that you want to bring with you is some sort of report writing guide. So whether you're writing down ZMIS, CASEVAC 9 lines, or call for fire reports, any human being can forget any of this stuff. So there's no reason under a stressful situation why you should allow your mental bandwidth be taken up by something that you should have memorized. There's nothing wrong with having this stuff written down and taking it out with you on an operation. On the back side, I have some loom tape. So under a dark situation, I don't need to sacrifice my position by turning on a red lens or white light. I can charge this with the use of a handheld white light or headlamp and be able to write down notes and pass information to my guys without actually using some sort of a handheld light. The final thing in my pouch that I carry with me on the admin side is just a couple of map markers that just really anybody should have regardless of billet. So that concludes my admin pouch. Moving on down from there, I have my magazine placard. So for me, I'm running 4x magazines up front, which is something you don't see a lot of people do. My perspective on it is just that it allows me to carry extra ammo and it's roughly the width of a plate. So to me, it's a no-brainer for me to allow me to carry more ammo. What's more interesting though, to me, is the Charlie panel from Forge Concepts. You might see a lot of guys run this for breaching equipment such as initiators, various explosives, and non-electric shock tube. But what your average infantryman can do who's probably not used to running those devices is use it to carry your map writing gear. Whether it be a no-kidding map of the area that you might be working in, a protractor, or your lensatic compass, it's a low profile option to stow mission essential items and allows you to retain those items in a manner that also allows quick access to them. The other things that I have in here, or things that you might see me carrying inside of this little panel, are going to be zip ties or flex cuffs, and then various writing utensils like a Sharpie. All right guys, moving over to the left side of my kit, I'm gonna talk to you about the GP pouch I keep. So I'm a right-handed shooter. That means my pistol is on my right-handed side. So I keep the most bulky items on my left side so it doesn't interfere with my draw. The beauty about a GP pouch is that you can keep just about anything inside of it. So starting out, I have these placards from Forge Concepts that allows me to store any number of items that I want. In particular, I'm able to store a pair of flashbangs in here. I also have my multi-tool and a pre-prepped red chem light which is organic to my unit specific signal plan. And those are enclosed inside of this small GP pouch. Other things that you might want to consider keeping on your kit is a means to change the batteries for everything on you that takes batteries. So keeping them somewhat waterproof is something I found somewhat helpful. And then finding a way to put loom tape on some of your smaller items so you're more easily able to find them in the dark is also something that's been hugely beneficial. Along the right side of my kit, or the left side of my kit as it were, I keep a small knife and it's also where I keep my radio. What's gonna happen is I'm gonna place my radio in here, and there's gonna be all kinds of antennas and stuff sticking out the left side of my body, and that could potentially get in the way of how I shoot my gun, so I make sure to keep it away from the right side of my shoulder, and generally out of the way of how I'm going to shoot and how I'm going to manipulate the weapon. That's why all of this bulky stuff stays on the left side of my body. All right guys, moving over to the right side of my kit, I wanna show you guys some of the methods you can use to employ your 5.56 Charlie pouch and your Charlie panel. So in this instance, you guys can see I've used the hidden compartment to store my non-electric shock tube, and then I have the blasting cap between me and my plates inside of one of the magazine flaps. I use this low profile Charlie 5.56 pouch on my right side because it compresses down to basically nothing up against my body. And what that allows me to do is still have a clean draw on my pistol when I need to pull it out. And this is one of the many ways you can use the Charlie pouch and Charlie panel to store your initiating system, your explosive devices. You can also obviously store things like magazines or any type of munitions you may need. Moving over to the right, I just have a regular low profile flashbang pouch and then a low profile frag grenade pouch. All of these are low profile enough so that way when I have to draw my pistol, it doesn't actually get in the way of my draw, but it still allows me to carry all the munitions that I need. All right, moving to the back of my plate carrier, I have a detachable PC pack from Shaw Concepts. I use this as sort of just a giant GP pouch, if you guys want to think of it that way. I think it's foolish to think that you're gonna go on a mission and not need water. So what I have on the inside is a 3-liter bladder running from a hose all the way up to my front so I can access it. And then I also have a hard source of water. The reason I want to be able to have some sort of hard sourced water bottle, such as this ice flask from Qore Performance, is because from my experience, water bladders are gonna pop. Whether I need to procure water, collect it, drink it later, or just fill this up with electrolytes and have some sort of other form of sustainment on my kit when I'm conducting operations, I find that having some sort of hard source water bottle is paramount to mission success. On the other side of my plate carrier, I'm using the Forge Concepts TNT Pouch. Tube nylon has become a very trendy thing for folks to carry. There's a lot of uses for it, and you don't necessarily need to be a super skilled ropes guy to know how to use it. You can use this to conduct SSE on dead bodies by attaching it to dudes and then rolling them over without the potential of putting yourself inside of the MSD for a frag grenade or any sort of IED that a dead guy could have on him when you're doing SSC on dead bodies. On the most outside portion of the pack, I carry a couple different types of munitions, right? So I have the ability to carry a flashbang and a smoke grenade, both using the Forge Concepts inserts. As you guys can see, they're super secure and well retained inside, and it will generally fit on just about anything that's Velcro. Then on the bottom of my pack, I carry a foxtail and a Poleless litter. So this actually extends out so that you can carry a downed casualty. So this is really great, and you should probably have one of these per fire team. Reason being is that firemen's carrying a guy over any long distance is going to be really miserable. But if you have a means to either carry that guy's equipment, which you can fashion this into a backpack and carry his equipment, or carry the casualty himself with a couple guys, whether that be you need to go upstairs or downstairs with a down teammate, it just makes moving a casualty a lot easier. It compresses down to just about nothing, and it's going to make your job of moving that casualty much more expeditious and easy. Something else you guys might want to do if you have an assault pack, because you're going to likely take it off at some point, which is the beauty of this, right, is that you don't need to wear it on your back the entire time like a back panel. You may want to take it off if you're inside of a vehicle, a boat, a helicopter, and you're in transport. So something I did was I tied tube nylon and a carabiner onto it. So that way, if I'm in some sort of trip, going in a helicopter, or I'm in a vehicle and a rollover happens, my equipment is at least somewhat secured and it's not going to hurt other people. And if I am in a rollover or some sort of accident, my equipment doesn't go flying away from me. It can still be retained inside of the vehicle. So something you guys might want to consider doing if you guys are working in and around vehicles. All right, next, bringing us to the main compartment. On the right-hand side, as you guys are looking at it, I have a pouch to store my night vision. And then on the left-hand side, as you guys are looking at it, I have just a general purpose pouch. So something inside that you guys might want to keep. Wet wipes, if you know, you know. A very small weapons cleaning kit. Inside of this, I have the bare minimum that you guys would actually need if you were stuck out in the field for a prolonged period of time. So that's gonna be a rag, a brush, and then a few administrative items, as well as some CLP for cleaning your weapon. The last thing of note that I keep inside of here is Clear Lens Eye Pro. This way you don't have to carry 2 sets of glasses. You can just throw this inside of your PC pack, and if it gets into doing nighttime operations, or vice versa, you're working at night and moving into day, you have the appropriate eye pro when you need it, and you don't have to run it in some sort of cargo pocket or blouse pocket and forget about it in the washing machine. All right, the next thing I want to talk to you guys about is my IFAK. I try and keep all the life-saving and life-taking items in the diver's triangle, which basically extends from my waistline all the way up to the top of my chest. We talked a lot about the life-taking devices. The life-saving devices are going to be my IFAK. I keep that in this dangler right here, and as you can see, inside are the contents of an entire IFAK. I use, again, these organizers from Forge Concepts to store all of the items that you would typically find in some sort of IFAK, but it does so in a very low profile fashion. I can even store 2 tourniquets inside of it. And the beauty about this particular pouch right here is that if you need to rip it off, you can hand it off to a buddy if they need extra medical, or if you want to stow breaching related items inside of it here, organized by these Velcro organizers, you can do that as well. One of the other important things on my kit that I think just about everybody should carry with them if they have a rifle is going to be some sort of punch rods, right? On the bottom of my placard, I have, with shock cord fashioned in, a set of common punch rods that will come with any USGI cleaning kit. They're E-taped down so that way the rods don't go flying everywhere, and buddy tabbed, so that way if I have any sort of catastrophic malfunction with my primary weapon, I can quickly put them together and then get my weapon back in the fight. All right, guys, that concludes my video on what an infantryman might want to bring to the fight. If you guys have any questions, go ahead and reach out to the Forge guys, and I'll do my best to get back to you. Thanks for watching.